Progress.
Okay, there's the backup in case for some reason that doesn't work. Okay, so this is open forum that we have, and I think we got almost a quorum here. I'm waiting for one other person to finish joining, Mr. Hendrickson, and we'll see how that works. So I had a number of things that I've had, but I'll let anybody else want to go first if they have any questions. Anybody bring any questions that they hadn't gotten answered yet? I guess Mr. Hendrickson will come in again. Well, since the last meeting, I noticed that at least the Outlook issue has tried to return, where you try and use the classic Outlook Microsoft 365 search window at the top of the screen, and it refuses to let you put the cursor in there, click in there, and type more than one character before it loses focus. It had done this before. I'm not sure if it's a server issue or what, but it automatically cleared itself about a day and a half later. You can still manually do a search window and be able to search your local files and the ones on the server as well. So I'm not sure what the issue is, why they keep messing with that. But it's very obstinate when you're trying to search for something quickly and all of a sudden, well, I'm gonna have to find a workaround for my search tools. And I got to the point where putting my own button on the tabs bar to say, do a search so I could find things. And that was able to work until they finally fixed the thing at Microsoft. Wherever they did this, I'm not sure. I even checked to see if there was any server outages with Outlook, and it had Down Detector did report some issues, so I suspect it was that. On another outage that I recently saw, I noticed the Wemo servers bounced about 2.5 weeks ago, where all of a sudden I was unable to switch the state of some of my Wemo sockets, although the automatic ones that turned on and off based on timers and sunset and sundot and whatever, they seemed to work okay. They kept working. It's just that I couldn't do anything with them other than manually turning them on or off. And that was kind of disturbing. So I was thinking maybe I should start thinking about moving the rest of my Tapo devices into the herd and then taking care of it that way. Blink video. If anybody's got a Blink video camera and they happen to use it with a Amazon Fire tablet, you might have recently noticed that version 47.0 refused to load on the Amazon tablet multiple times, kept automatically updating and failing until it said you must manually update it, and that failed. And I raised a dialogue with them, and I'm got the feeling that the Blink support is probably in East Asia somewheres, because they always would respond to me and send me an email back about 3 a.m. So, yeah, and asking me more obvious questions. Have you tried starting and restarting? Have you tried deleting the Blink app and reinstalling? Says, no, I'm not going to try and do that unless you can give me a link to give me the old version, because if the new version can't install, you can't get the old version off of the Amazon App Store. So unless I trust one of these other places that I've found, oh, here's 46.1, you might be able to save that and then find out what kind of virus is in it. And rooting my particular Kindle Fire is not an option because I have a 12th generation, and that one does not yet have any exploits to allow you to root it yet. So that's the problem of getting a newer one and making sure that they don't have that kind of capability. And I've been trying to get OpenVPN to play to a place where I used to use EasyVPN. I still have EasyVPN access through an old Win 7 laptop to this particular server, but I can't seem to get the OpenVPN connects. I just can't do anything with it. Can't see any of the devices. So And that's what have been playing with. And then suffering with some of the more recent issues that I've discovered after making my primary machine a Windows 11 machine. And this is only a 24H2. So it's not like I'm trying to play debugger with the newer versions. It's just that there's a number of nuances that don't quite play well with others. So, not sure if the rest of you have discovered that as you try to put a Windows 11 machine into your collection. Are you all going to be able to get the additional 1 year of support on Windows 10?
Not everybody's gotten that yet.
Not everyone. Okay.
No, some people may be all the way to October 13th, but on
Hmm.
YouTube, there are a number of YouTube videos out there of how to get it now if you want to, because you want to have the extension.
Well, I've I've retired two of my Windows 10 machines because there's no way they're going to run Windows 11. And I'll probably put some older Linux release on them at some point in time. I've transferred most of my files over to the new machine that I need, and the ones I don't need are sitting on my NAS drive somewhere. So as long as I can access the NAS drive, I still haven't chosen a backup utility yet to use on my Windows 11 machine. I'm trying to decide, do I want to move to the Macrium Reflect, or do I want to try and do it with one of the other ones that's out there?
Well, the Mac Reflect, you got two choices. You can try the version 8 free. However, you never know when that might disappear. But the code
Right.
works. As long as it's installed, it works solid. And I've had absolutely zero problems. Or you can go to the subscription annually
Yeah.
and get the 10 version, which is what would be normally recommended.
Well, that's probably the way I will have to go because I don't want to be in a situation where I have a backup on a device and I can't restore it to the target I need. And that's the problem is that you can make a lot of backups, but then when you have to test it, what do I test it on? Who's going to be my guinea pig that I restore this to? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the problem. Because a lot of people I know major systems that have had backups for years and they never tested the restores until they found out they weren't backing up everything they needed.
Well,
Yeah.
sometimes what I do, I do only full image backups. Anyhow, I don't use decremental or
Mhm.
incremental.
Incremental.
And bottom line is, I only do the full image. I created the restore media. I boot up the
Yeah,
computer from that to make sure it works to begin with once I created it.
yeah.
And then when I want to restore one, I'll take one of my machines that's seldom used. I will take its storage media out. I'll put in a temporary one that, hey,
Hmm.
doesn't matter what happens to it. Plug in the bootable restore drive and boot up off of that and hook up my backup storage, do a refresh so it sees it. And then, if necessary, I tell it to check for backup versions, and it'll give me usually a list of possibles. And most often, the first one listed is the one that was last made. And then you click on that, click on restore, and let it do its thing.
Well, the one question I would have on when you do the restore, does it automatically remove most of the custom drivers so that you come up with no drivers and then let the operating system reinstall?
No,
So what does it do if you have a
whatever.
different motherboard when you do the restore?
Now that, yes, now that it keeps the old drivers that were there, but when you boot up, it will recognize you're on a different machine that may have different architecture and age, and then it will install whatever drivers it thinks it needs minimum for that
Yeah. Well,
machine
that's
and
what the
reboot.
Acronis we used to do it there. They termed it their bare metal restore.
Right.
which would basically allow you to install and then reload drivers as if you just started up an installation on your machine and bring in the new drivers that it needed,
It only
especially for the ones for disk and display.
the experience I've had, it only brings in the ones it knows it needs, and any others that came from the original backup are there.
Yeah.
Whether the device functions or not, that will be determined whether it's something that's already in your machine or it's just not there.
Yeah. We don't happen to have any discount offers through CCS because you're a user group member for Macrium Reflect?
I wait for Black Friday. They
Yeah,
have sales.
that's
Black Friday?
yeah,
Okay.
or Cyber Monday sometimes too, but Black Friday is the traditional one.
Yeah.
And does
I'll,
it make sense to go with the multiple copies if you're going to do for more than one
Yeah,
machine?
yeah.
oh, yeah. You
Uh,
get discounts on 3 or more.
Yeah, I saw the discounts on 3. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do better if I won't get like about 5 or 6 and donate a couple of them to my church for their backups.
I see.
You'll probably get about the same rate as though you were buying 4.
Okay.
4 is about the maximum for getting some kind of a discount.
All right.
But yeah, it's a serious discount.
Okay.
I got it for the equivalent of about $25 per license.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay. Now, does that reflect for the life of the product or does it go up after the first year?
When there is an upgrade to a new version, most of these licenses you will have to renew. But when that happens, you usually receive an email saying, "Hey, here's another offer."
Yeah. Good. Okay. Okay.
Anyway, it's been working for me for a few years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've
Well,
got both. On my old machines, I got the free, and on the newer stuff, I have the subscription, like Bob has.
Yeah,
well, I need to also replace some of our machines that are sitting at the church that are still Win 10, and they're like fourth generation Intel, so they're not going to go anywhere either. I mean, they're stable hardware. I mean, this hardware was purchased 12 years ago,
Sure.
and it's been pretty good. I mean, I've had the bad SSD from the ones the 970 EVOs, the ones that had the flaky operation. I replaced one of the two. The other one I never got around to replacing within the warranty period, and it's been more than 5 years since we purchased it. So that one will just eat. Get a new one maybe. We'll see.
the 970 Evo, there were some production runs where they made substitutions in the controllers.
They did something because both of the ones that we had purchased at the same time from Amazon, they both had the same kinds of issues, and I returned one. They went and reanalyzed it, and they said, "Yep, this is a bad one." So they sent me a new one. But meanwhile, while I got waited for the new one, I went and purchased another one to put that machine back into service. So I still
Yeah.
have the spare somewhere in my office. I'll just have to dig it out and put it into service.
Yeah. Normally, Samsung comes with controllers that they design and uh, update in house. They have their own controllers.
Yeah, but it's like I try and use their Samsung Magician to try and work on some of these things. And
Yeah.
I've done an update where it didn't work and I had to remove it and reinstall an older version
Yeah.
to get back to where I was. And I'm afraid that, oh, there's a new version of Magician available. No, you've fooled me once. Fool me twice. Shame on me. But
Yeah.
backup is a sensitive issue. And that's the other thing that keeps egging me on, and this is Microsoft's problem. I've already set all of the options in Office to say, don't save it on the OneDrive, don't even put a temp copy out there, and save it to the local computer. So I think I've covered most of my bases, but I still get these things that pop up that said, warning, this file is not backed up. Click here to back up on OneDrive. Like, no, thank you. That's not a backup.
Well, the other thing with Macro Reflect, always when you install it, go into others options on the tabs at the top. Second, well, the first one creates the recovery media. The second one, go in there and go to auto verify after backup and put a check mark in. That way, every time you run Macro Reflect, whether either version, it will take and do an
It'll
automatic
do a read verify then.
That's right. Immediately after the backup is done. If it
Now, is
says
that a compare verify or
yes,
is that a read the backup and verify it's readable?
it's supposed to be complete, but I can't guarantee that.
Okay.
It's just
That I now that I would check that in a trial
it
period and see which it is.
appears that it's reading the original drive that was backed up and your image and doing a comparison all the way through. So it's not a quick thing. It takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, it should take at least as long as the backup did, so it'll double the time for a normal backup. The
Well,
question is whether or not it's reading the shadow copy or is it reading the live disk again to see if anything
that
changed, and therefore anything that would change if you had still
that
running that might upset it.
that part I cannot answer technically,
It
but
does do a shadow drive though, correct?
yeah, it does. And
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never had it fail unless the verification failed, in which case
Mhm.
it tells you, hey, something went wrong. And
Well, I've had it where the backup, and this was one of the freebie Acronuses for Western Digital, would jump up, and every time there was a bad block on the SSD that had an error in it, and it couldn't read it after trying multiple times, 30 seconds for each try. How many tries do you let it do? And then it finally fails. Like, okay, so you can't read that bad block. I have yet to locate a tool that will take apart the event log where the bad block was and turn it into reality. Show me, where is this bad block? What file is it in? I will delete it.
but the event logging is not an absolute. It sometimes it doesn't even create an entry, and other times it may create a misinformed entry as to what took place in the log files.
Well, whenever I found this in the past, when I had some tools that would let me, I could use the Microsoft expansion that says, okay, interpret this, and then the interpretation would come back, and here's the LBA that's bad. Oh, okay, good. And now I can go and use that with some of the old semantic tools that I used to use and say, find me this LBA, what file is it in? Oh, here it is. Okay, I don't need this file, it's a temp file. Let's remove it. And then the backup would complete because you don't have a valid file to back up. You've deleted it and it didn't get reused. Great. So, but I haven't been able to discover that for some of these other things. It just would take too long. There's like about 8 hard errors in that 1 terabyte hard drive. That's SSD that come up. If I do a Samsung Magician, do a full pass on the entire read of the SSD, and it'll show me those are the bad ones.
Question:
Yeah.
Do you do over provisioning on your?
I have over provisioned the drive to at least 5 or 10%,
Okay.
but it didn't make any difference because the errors started occurring before that, and it's already exceeded some of the error limits in some places.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but I didn't put that in until after the first drive had failed. And then I went and put it in on the second drive, but it was already too late, I believe, because I used to be able to get through, ignore errors, just make me a backup, and now I have a backup. But now it can't even get through the ignore errors portion of it. So either I got to keep deleting files until I get lucky, or I just end up doing a file by file save of what I can get, and then restoring that to another machine and put the image back on it, and then use that machine.
Well, the only reason I asked about the over provisioning, tons of people out there who have SSDs do not do any over provisioning whatsoever.
And it's a requirement to have over provisioning, especially if you use more than 10% of your hard drive, your SSD. If you're using more than 20% and you don't have SSD over provisioning, you're asking for a problem.
Right. But bottom line is, most of them, even when you tell them, they won't do it.
Yeah. And then the question is, what tool are you using to over provision it with? Because not everyone has Samsung Magician available for their SSD.
Well, yeah, but I mean, now, for example, us who are under Linux, we just use something like Live Gparted to do
Yeah, and then you could do that, or you have
resizing.
to. I have to see what's is available on this new Win 11 because I haven't done any over provisioning on it yet, but I
You
am
probably have
still
none.
using a fraction of the hard drive so far.
Yeah, but
Yes.
do you see a raw section, not partitioned? That's over
Well,
provisioning.
let me just see. First of all, I got to pull up the manage. Good, got the manage going. All right, disk manager. There we go. Disk management. All right, disk management on the basic hard drive. No, it's got a 260 meg EFI, 950 gig NTFS main Windows, and there's a recovery partition of 1.95
Right.
gig.
And you have to have a partitioning program to shrink some stuff to leave a blank raw area that's not partitioned, not
Okay,
formatted. That's
and
what
that's good enough for over provisioning.
Yes, it is. That's what,
Okay.
if you look at any of your drives that you did with Magician over provisioning, you'll get the exact same thing. It shows as raw,
Uh-huh.
unpartitioned, unformatted area. You have no control over what the system does. And the system, in this case, is the firmware on the drive.
I wonder, this is a Samsung M.2 drive. I wonder if Magician would run with it.
It should. There are,
Hmm.
I think the most current version is 8 or something.
Yeah, it's 8 dot something. I still have a 7 dot something on my Win 10 machines that had SSDs.
Well, I'm trying to find, I had some old copies, but I had a hiccup of some storage and I may have lost it, but I'll have to go through my stuff. I'm looking for an older version for an older Samsung drive right now. Uh, Not so much for the over provisioning, but if you do the performance, make sure you have a restore point before you do the performance tuning, because when you reboot after it's done, it's a good possibility it will not boot up. That restore point will be offered to be restored. That gets you back up,
Ooh, okay.
but it
Yeah.
may take hours. I ran into the problem on one machine, and as an end result, I had to take. I was going to bed, and I just left it sit there. The next morning, it was sitting there saying, "You want to log in or what?"
Hmm.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And the only thing I
Let's
lost
see.
was the most recent update, and I had to redo that update from Microsoft. And I'm a okay.
While you guys were talking about that, I checked with one of my partition tools, and it turns out all of my SSDs do have at least 10% of unallocated space.
Right. Well, it depends upon the individual. Most don't even know what the hell over provisioning is all about, and that how to do it after the fact or before you do much of anything on a brand new computer, how to shrink things so that I have that over provisioning area. And that's the
Yeah,
killer.
yeah. The smallest amount I've got is about 10%.
What is over provisioning?
If
You leave an area of the SSD unallocated so that it's just raw. And this allows for when you get the equivalent of bad sectors in an SSD for them to be relocated to other parts of the SSD.
Okay.
If
And
you
let,
don't have that, kind of unused space. There's nowhere for these new read and write locations to be taken from.
See, that's the thing that most people don't comprehend. Anybody who knows and had any experience with spinning hard drives, the manufacturers automatically had a hidden area on those drives that was for this bad sector recovery area. And the thing is, you can't get to it. SSDs don't have that provision. And it was started by IBM way back when, and 10% is usually the standard. I do usually less than 10%, but I do have some area available on all my drives. And it's strictly insurance, because nothing lasts forever as much as people expect it to, especially in a throwaway economy.
I just looked. I just looked up what it would take today. I looked up what it would take to make electronics survive either a solar flare event, a big strong one, or an EMP. And all you got to do is build a Faraday cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, really, that's what you got to do. Put it in a steel box with no gaps.
Right.
Yeah.
I have, in case you need an older version of Samsung Magician, I have the 7.1.1.820. So if you need something that it's like 100 and some odd megabytes though, so it's a full install. So if
Okay.
you need it, let me know and I'll put it someplace and send you a link.
Okay, go ahead and do it because I have the current one, but I have older drives. 7 works
Okay.
on some of them, but I'm right now looking for a 4 version. And I have it installed, but on a system, but I got another system from the same era that needs the 4. And I
I
at the
don't
moment,
think I have that one that old, but I will look and see if I can find the other one as well. May have it on another backup drive.
okay,
The other thing about Samsung Magician is it will only work on an internal SSD.
right,
So it has to be actually inside the machine.
that's right.
Yes.
But it's not too hard to swap out SSDs.
Oh,
No.
that's why I say, especially when I'm playing with Linux and using a Windows system or even a Linux system.
Hmm.
If I'm going to be playing around with one that's I got to do some manipulations to, I take out all the storage, no matter what, out of the target machine. I stick this media into that, and then I can do my manipulations, because otherwise sometimes manipulations I'm trying to do cause the other drives to get clobbered to some degree, and then you have the holy nightmare of not only trying to get what you were trying to accomplish done, but also trying to get a recovery from the other drives that were internal at the same time.
How far back will version 8 save on older machines
I'll
on
be honest,
Macrium Reflect? Will it work Win 7?
to the best of my
Let's
knowledge, it works even
find
on my
out.
Linux. It works on my Linux machines. I don't care what
Okay.
machine it is. You just
Well,
you don't install it there.
no, I wouldn't install it. I would just boot up recovery media
That's right.
and then do a backup.
Right.
Yes.
It normally defaults on that recovery media to
Uh-huh.
restoring, but there's a tab to the left of that that's for backup, and you can go in to create a normal backup just as
Yep.
if it was installed.
I mean, the other thing I would do would be with, because what I've done before, and I've done this as far back as Win98 machines, I've done a backup of the Win98 machine,
Mm-hmm.
then turned it into a VHD,
Yep.
and then used the VHD with VirtualBox to make a virtual machine. So my Windows 7 machine could actually run Windows 98 in a virtual PC.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And there's that, and one of these days, if I ever find the time, I got to do my XPs and Windows 7s, I've got like 10 different disks available of Windows 7 laying around here. They were all updated to the max before the absolute end of support in 2019 or 2020.
I wouldn't hesitate to remember how many disk drives I have here, but
Yeah.
it's got to be probably over 30.
Oh,
Now, MacRam Reflect 8, the free version,
Yeah.
will back up anything from Windows XP, Service Pack 3, upwards through Windows 11.
Good.
I wasn't aware of, well, I hadn't tried anything earlier than Windows XP because I don't have anything running available to try.
Oh, I still have some Windows XP machines that work just fine.
Well, no, I have XP, and I've gone back that far, but I have not got any like Windows 2000, Windows NT4, Millennia, 98 SE,
I have a Windows 98 first
98,
edition.
and 95, and Windows 3, and all its variations.
But it is in, so it served its keep alive battery. So we'll see. This is one of the things that I've recently got. It's these little adapters,
Yeah.
USB, USB-C,
Oh, I've
Yeah.
had
and
that
then
for months.
its corollary is this kind of
C2.
USB
Yeah.
and a USB-C plug.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've had
when you run out of ports and you only have a USB-C left and you need to adapt something to it, or you have a USB-C thing that won't adapt and you need to adapt it to a regular USB 3.2, that will do it.
That's right.
And they were relatively inexpensive on Amazon. These happen to be the U Green brand. And I tested them with some like a USB-C flash drive to make sure it could plug into a USB 3.2. And I tested with a regular USB drive into a USB-C, and both of them worked back and forth without a problem.
Right. I've had those adapters since way back in 24. I got mine off of eBay.
Well, I've had some before that didn't work as well, like they were for charging only. That's the key. You want to make sure you get one that will pass the data at the speeds you expect to use it.
Right.
And you don't want it to be super slow either. So that's why I got some relatively new ones and decided, let's try that. So, all right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I think it is ordered to.
What website did we say that you could still get the old MacRam Reflect? Was it GitHub? I can't remember.
You can
No.
get it from MacRam.
Yeah, but you can also get it from Major Geeks, Pedia, Softronics, and a number of other ones. It depends upon the trustworthiness in your mind of the site you get it from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I can find it from MacRam, but the problem is that they've eliminated a lot of the places. You have to probably look in some support, older, and then find it down there. Yeah.
No. Almost, I can go to Major Geeks, Softpedia, Softronics, and
Yeah.
I don't have a problem bringing up. I type in the search, say Macram Reflect, and it'll show me version 8 free, usually as the first one on the list. And right after that, you'll see a Macram Reflect X, which is the new one.
By the way, just a little footnote, there has been a change in the format that they use for the backup archives between 8 and 10.
Right. The new one will accept the format of the old 8 if you decide to stop using the 8, but it's not, the 8 cannot read the new 10 format.
Okay.
Right.
So as long as the 10 can read the 8 format, that's like, so there is on Older Geeks, the one that I would want to use. So
Hey, wait a minute.
Great.
What is this Older Geeks shit?
They're a legitimate site, and they're a good one.
that is their name, and I'm not going to wear it out.
Are you implying something?
I already qualify as that, so you can't say anything bad about it.
Yeah. And they're a very good site. They've got lots and lots of software there.
Yeah, there's a lot of good sites. I don't know about CNET. CNET used to have a very bad reputation. I don't know if they ever cleaned that up or not, because I haven't gone to CNET in a minimum of 10 up to 20 years.
If I can't find something at either Major Geeks or Softpedia or a couple of other sites, it's probably not worth looking for.
Yeah, yeah. And if worst comes to worst, you can go do a general internet search with whatever search engine you want. And most of the good sites will pop up there, but you got to watch for some that might be bad sites. But
Okay.
it's one of these things where you got to decide what you want and what you don't want. But
I take it only runs in 64-bit mode, correct?
yes, they don't.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether 8 has a 32-bit mode version, but it might.
Well, if I use it to create backup media, as long as it'll run on a 32-bit machine, that would be key.
Yeah, usually that's x86
Yeah.
underscore x64 software.
I don't see an x86 version of the one that's here, but you may have to install it on a 64-bit, and then you create the media, and maybe it has an option to create for 32-bit image for those older machines. So
That uses, I believe, WinPE as the boot manager.
oh, that would be fine then, because the machines will support 64-bit. It's just that the operating system that was saved on those that I would save on those machines is 32.
Right.
So, but they may be either 2 or 4 gig machines, so
Sure.
should be able to run. Okay, good. So now we've shown that. Good. Looks interesting.
Who are you
All
talking
right.
to?
Myself.
That's what I
The
thought.
problem is when I get arguments with myself.
Well, that's
Yes,
okay.
there
We don't
is.
care about that part.
Macrim Reflect does have an advanced setting where you can create rescue media for 32-bit.
Good. All right. Okay, I have that ready. Now I need to find how I can get to the share button. That's the problem when I have one screen that's slightly smaller than the other. All right, that's what I want to do. This, I don't know. There's still a thing in here that Acrobat still seems to think the name of this is router upgrades and caveats, and I have not called it that in a long time, but somehow when it creates the PDF, Microsoft Create the PDF doesn't have that option. It says, what do you want the Acrobat name to be? So anyhow, I do this. I'm not actually printing this to PDF. I'm doing a save as PDF, and that's where it's coming from. So, Windows 11 anomalies and multiple cameras on Zoom at 2 for 1. Okay. So, I've, as I mentioned earlier, I'm using Windows 11 daily now, and it's a nice machine. It's got reasonable battery life. There's times I'll fire it up and I'll use it, and I'll take it down to maybe about 80% after an hour or two of working with it. And it's smart enough to do some intelligent power management when it is in battery mode versus plugged in mode. Although plugged in mode isn't a lot more power being drawn anyway. It's only got a 65-watt power adapter. So it's not going to pull a lot of power in any stretch of the imagination. But when it goes into battery mode, it cuts down on the number of cores and the number of hyperthreads that are being used. So it's saving power by doing that. And for the most part, it almost always runs completely cool. I don't have to worry about overheating, which is one of the primary things I have looked for in laptops for my replacements. I've had very fast, big machines, but they sit there and they'll burn your lap. And you got to use a industrial strength cooler on it to just keep it within range. And I prefer these things to run, 50, 60 C tops and never go beyond that. But as I've been using Windows 11, there's issues that I have discovered. Part of the problem is Windows 11 hides that actual interface to the components that you're familiar with and the one that's going to be the one that can do all of the configuration. Instead, they give you a glossy thing that says, "Oh, you're hunky dory," but maybe you're not all hunky dory because you can't get this thing to work. Some of these issues are small, but others have taken literally hours to go through and figure out. Here are some of the issues that I've had with older applications as well, and how changes to how they worked when Windows 11. This particular machine doesn't have a Wi-Fi on-off switch. It's not in the BIOS. It's not in anything else. There's no keystroke that I can use to turn the Wi-Fi on or off. The only way I can turn it on or off is to go into the system tray and turn off the Wi-Fi when I'm connected with Ethernet. And if I do that and disconnect the Ethernet and I go to some place where Wi-Fi might be needed, it will come up with a little circle, the world globe, that says there is no Wi-Fi, until I turn it back on again. So it does honor the fact that I've turned it off or turned it on, but it still has some issues when it's turned on and I plug into a Ethernet connection. You have two connections at the same time, and it doesn't have any options in the driver to disable Wi-Fi when plugged in with Ethernet. Older drivers used to have this option way deep in some of the driver parameters that you would get into and try and set. So as a result, when I'm hooked in with Ethernet and with Wi-Fi, I got two separate IP addresses for this machine. And it hasn't affected going out of this machine, talking to other devices, web browsing, network printing. But if I'm trying to access this machine or another machine, and this happened on Win 10 on older machines as well, if I had the Wi-Fi and I was plugged in on a physical Ethernet line at the same time, I could get into problems. Now, I will warn up front, some of the problem is probably also complicated by the fact that I have more than one access point. So I have a router that this machine is going to talk to right now because it's running 802.11n and it's on 5 gigahertz, and that's where it's doing most of its throughput. Whereas in my office, I might be closer to an 802.11a access point that will still go reasonably fast, but not much more than about 50 megabits per second. Okay. Now, this is what I found on my Win 11 laptop. So I had two IP addresses that came up in an IP config. .149 for the wired and .157 for wireless. I tried with my cell phone, which is on .125. So I opened up a command prompt, and I did it with admin, so it wasn't a problem of admin. Tried to ping the 125 when the wired was temporarily disconnected. So the wireless was still there, the wired was gone, and it would declare destination host unreachable. Now that's kind of unusual because both devices are wireless and they're probably connected to the same access point, which is about 4.5 feet away. But it still said destination host unreachable. Plug it in with a wired connection, works just fine. Not a problem. It was able to reach it. So works with the wired, doesn't work with the wireless. They're both wireless and they can't talk to each other. What is the issue? Well, here's one way you can see what's happening. If you do a ping command, which is also known as an ICMP request, and you send a ping to your network ending in the last digit of the last section, quartet of 255. Well, 255 in an 8-bit value, as most people will remember, are all the bits on. The internet mask for this subnet is 255, 255, 255, 0. So whenever all of the bits are on in the last quartet, that acts as a broadcast IP for everybody to respond to. So if there's anybody that's connected to this access point and is woken up at least once in the last DTIM period, which is 1/10 of a second, times 3, because a DTIM is 3 typically. So every 300 milliseconds, somebody woke up and said, is there anything for me? they would see this broadcast and they would respond to it. So when they respond to it, this machine that was doing the ping captures the physical MAC address. This is how you communicate under Ethernet and in wireless. You capture the MAC addresses, okay, and that goes into what's called the ARP cache. That's what this is. This is an ARP request that's being printing out all of the things it could see. Now you can see that the list with the 149 is bigger than the list with 157. That means not every one that was wireless could respond, or they were wired and they still didn't respond because they had a connection through a wireless access point. This .5 happens to be in my HP LaserJet. I know he's wired, but some of these other ones didn't respond. And you noticed here's 125 on the left. There's no 125 on the right. If there isn't an address in it and you try and ping it, it doesn't know how to talk to it because it doesn't know its physical address. It hasn't responded. So that's why it says destination address unreachable. So if I turn off the dual and I rebooted and ran nothing but wireless, I might be better off. But when you have them both plugged in at the same time is where you start to see some of these issues. Now, this little number up here, this X10 and this X15, that's nothing more than the address of the interface of what its number is, its interface number is, in case anybody was looking for what that is. So the wired interface did see more devices, and possibly because of the way my network is set up, I have more than one access point. That means the wired side can see wireless devices on both networks. And some routers, even though they've been enabled to allow wireless to talk to each other, they block some of the requests as a security measure. And it depends on how your security setup within the router software is done. Okay. Sometimes you don't even have an option to allow network clients to talk to each other. They always have to go through the router, go to the wired side, come back out, and go to the other wireless side, back out again. They can't go directly wireless to wireless. That would be faster for some places, but it's not always allowed. And after every 30 seconds, everything that's in that cache is flushed. So it's in there for more than 30 seconds, it's gone. Boom. And it has to redo it. So whenever you're using wireless, there's this constant chatter that goes back and forth where the router, if it doesn't have the address in its IP cache, as ARP cache, is going to ping, hey, 125, where are you? And 125 says, I'm here, here's my MAC address. And I'll remember it for 30 seconds and then I'll forget it. I'll have amnesia. So just like some of us older gents here. Okay, other anomalies. When I was setting up my Brother MFC J6710, not 1610, printer that I purchased in 2013 as a multifunction printer scanner, the scanner functions that I used to work with did not like to work with my Windows 11 machine due to driver issues, among other things. When I was using Windows 7, when I first got this machine, I would just scan the documents into TIFF format, and I'd use Microsoft Office document imaging to do whatever I wanted with the TIFF, like do an OCR on it, recover the text, do the auto straighten, that when it would scan in crooked, you said, okay, straighten it. If you didn't OCR scan, it would only straighten it first and then give you the text in it as well. So I used that for many years until I had to move to Win 10. And then I couldn't get the Microsoft Office document imaging to play nice. So I just said, fine, I'm going to start saving things in PDF format. And that was a reasonable workaround. But I didn't have a nice way to auto straighten the PDF formats, unfortunately. But during that time, I also found NAPS2, and I found that NAPS2 could take a PDF and do the automatic straighten that I wanted to do. So that, oh, okay, I'll just use NAPS2 on the PDF after I scan it in. But under Windows 11, I wasn't going to be able to use the Twain driver anymore. I had to use a WIA driver. So that's what Windows 11 required. And of course, then my utility stopped functioning to be able to scan. It would just time out until I installed the latest version of NAPS2, which interfaced to the WIA driver. And then if I did the utility, it would just launch NAPS2 to do my scans for me. Not too much of a problem, but I had a couple issues with it. NAPS2 all of a sudden decided to right justify everything. Like, I don't need you right justifying cutting off the right side. Let's leave it in where it belongs. Left justified. Thank you. Or center justified. Either way, don't cut it off. The other thing was when I tried to print to it, I didn't even see the double-sided option on the print dialog. It's like, oh, where the heck did that go? Did I get a wrong driver or something? Obviously, there was something. I had to go down into the printer properties. And to get to this is, again, one of these things where you go 3 or 4 levels deep to find this little printer properties thing that comes up. Because this is device settings are advanced. And then you see duplex unit. And it said not installed. And I said, I don't think they make one that's not installed. All of these came with the same option. So I turned on installed, and then my double-sided printing started working again. Great fun. HP printers just are all kinds of fun, especially with Windows 11. And you're trying to use a printer that's maybe 27 years old. The 4000, I used to reliably print number 10 envelopes. Just slap them into the manual feeder, set it up to print, and make sure that Microsoft Word was set to print to a number 10 envelope. I go to print, and all of a sudden it's trying to print to paper instead of the envelope format, and it prints it shifted over. Like, burned another couple envelopes. Yeah. Yes. So I have to keep on making sure, and I have to use the PCL6 driver. PCL5 driver doesn't seem to want to remember what's in that input tray. Under Windows 11. Under Windows 10, I never had a problem with that driver. Other things that I had, somehow, somewhere, at one point in time, I had two items stuck in the print spooler. They would not leave. You could delete them. Deleting or just spin, deleting, never deleting them. And I'm not sure why, but I searched the internet, like, how do you get rid of stuff stuck in the print spooler? Oh, well, you got to go and you got to stop the print spooler service. You got to go into the System32 print spooler directory, delete the files, then restart the service. Finally got rid of those. But these are kinds of things that we shouldn't be seeing with a operating system that's this new. This is old stuff that was working. Why did you make it not work? Touchpads. My other sensitive issue. There's a number of touchpads that I've had to use with Windows 11. And for some reason, I've always been used to having laptops that had discrete buttons. And I didn't look carefully to see if this one had a joystick or discrete buttons, but I didn't want to pay $1,000 more for this laptop just because it had those extra buttons on it. So I said, well, I'll try. And I looked to try and get the right click button. You have to be right in the corner, and you have to do a quick tap, and then it will come up and do it. Yes, he didn't do it there. There. That's how you get right click. But it is a pain in the butt unless you got a mouse, and I am sitting here with the mouse just in case, because the mouse always works. It's just the touchpads get very sensitive. And I look to see, is there some way I can configure, like you touch anywhere's over here for the right click, and like, no, it's got to be in the corner. So I haven't seen if there's an option to change that yet or not. Okay. My second presentation here is multiple cameras with Zoom. Okay. So I had to use Zoom in a conference room, and sometimes it would be nice to use multiple cameras so as to show the other people in the participants and to the other Zoom users so they would know who else is in the room. Now, if you get a second machine, you can put it in there and it can run Zoom and it can be used as an additional client. But to make it work, you have to make sure that second laptop microphone is muted and the audio output is muted, or you get feedback and it just sounds unprofessional. You can also use a cell phone to provide the other camera, but then you need, to have a second login because you don't always able to log in on the main account and not cause problems. Logging in with the same account with the main owner account with multiple machines is constantly problematic in Zoom. You're always either knocking the first guy off or you're supposed to join as the second, and then you can say, make me host or co-host, and then it'll sometimes work. But more often than not, you're going to knock the other person off. You can run a second camera in Zoom, but it depends on your Zoom license capabilities. There may be a way to do it in Zoom Rooms or Zoom Space, but since we don't have a Zoom Space to play with, I couldn't go into that area. Zoom Basic can add a second camera with sharing, but it won't work with any other sharing requests, such as another document. So when you go into share, you go into click the advanced right there, then you can see second camera. Notice it does not say third camera, fourth camera, fifth camera, just second camera. This is what you end up getting it to look like. So there's my face here, and this is the second camera that I had aiming down on the laptop to look at the keyboard, which is reversed, of course, because it was said, that's the way it's looking at it. But that's an example of what having the second camera is, but you have to be in share mode to do this. And when you go to share a document, you go back to your other display with just you and your document. So when you're using it as the second camera, your main camera becomes the portrait and the second camera is the focus. There are other options for a second camera, but that requires other software on your Zoom computer. Your Zoom computer, not you Zoom. Sounds like I'm a third world type here. Obviously, using something like OBS Studio is nice because it's free and it can be configured to work with Zoom. It's not the easiest software to understand and run. I know some of you out there may be using OBS Studio and you're familiar with it, but your first time playing with it, it's going to definitely take some familiarity, which only comes from use. The two cameras are going to be shared camera, so you will be smaller. But it does work if and it does work as long as your computer has the resources. When you start running OBS Studio and Zoom on the same machine, it had better be a 16 gig machine. So what is needed to get to OBS Studio to work? Well, you download and install the latest OBS Studio. You should figure out how you're going to set things up. Either you're going to pick a 1920 by 1280 if that's what your screen size is, or 1920 by 1080 if you're doing a widescreen. You might need to set up your camera sources within OBS, or you will. You can select then a scene so you can set it up to have multiple scenes with multiple input devices to do top, bottom, or side by side, and then you can include both cameras. And then you can play with the size of these within a scene. If you also enable studio mode, then you can show both the setup of the preview and the program, which is typically what you're doing if you're streaming. The program is what's going out over the air. The preview is what you have ready to do transition from. And I didn't even go near streaming output from OBS, but I just set up a virtual camera so that Zoom could use the virtual camera because that's the easiest way to interface to Zoom. So here is the preview, which has the two video devices here. And I have, this one says top bottom. This is the program side. I've already had previously set the side by side. Okay, and that was my side by side scene. The key here, if you don't have studio mode turned on, you only have one screen. You don't have the two of them. you turn on studio mode, you have both. You click on Start Virtual Camera, and Start Virtual Camera will create a camera. Well, this is fine. Okay. You set up the virtual camera, and then you choose which scene you want, either side by side or top and bottom, whichever ones you've created here, because you can select what scene you want to use. But it will stay on that. Whatever you're doing with OBS Studio, it will not be dynamic. It'll only change when you change the virtual camera. Now, there is a caveat to this. You will not ever see the virtual camera in Zoom unless after you've installed OBS Studio, you can and set up the virtual camera and then reboot. If you don't reboot, you will not see the virtual camera. It will not appear, and it'll drive you crazy until you figure out, oh, I need to reboot to make it so it can show the virtual camera. One reboot, and there it was. Now, if you have virtual camera set for Zoom and you don't have OBS Studio running, you're going to get a blank screen with a character on it, and it's going to say, you don't have any screen here. In fact, I can show you, I believe, what that looks like. You'll see it what it is in a moment here. I will do video settings. I'm going to select my OBS Studio. I will select my OBS Studio. Oh, it's just going to give me the background. If I turn off my virtual background, you'll get this. So I'm going to say, let's do that and see what happens. Oh, it's just going to give me a blank screen. You can't see what I'm doing, unfortunately. Okay, well, that's fine. Oh, here. That's what it looks like. So if you see that and you say, oh, I have selected the OBS camera, but I'm not running OBS. So maybe I need to do that. So I will go back and fire up OBS Studio and see what it does here. All right. Okay. All right. And now we'll start the virtual camera. All right. So now you can see in that little window to the side, both of my cameras. This is my laptop camera. This is my Zoom camera. And that's what you'll end up looking like. Maybe half as, a quarter size, but that's the only way to get the two of them side by side. And like I said, you can't stretch it horizontally or vertically unless you play with this more than I've decided to show. And when I stop the virtual camera, you get that. If I go back to Zoom and do the video, I will change my video here back to the one camera. There it goes. And back to that, and then restart the video. There, so I'm back. So now you've just seen what it takes to do side-by-side cameras with more than one camera. Again, after you install OBS, you will need to reboot to see the virtual camera show up. While OBS owns those cameras, you can't use Zoom to access the individual cameras without turning off the virtual camera and either shutting down OBS. So you can't do those kinds of things as well. And a small screen, when there's only nobody there, that's what you're going to see, basically, in my office, which looks like that. And then when I brought in, this is a cell phone, as opposed to the two showing the different aspect ratio and the horizontal versus vertical. So gives you a feel for what it looks like. And that's it. That is my presentation. So I will go ahead and find the chat. I'll try and find the right thing to do here. No, that's not what I want. No, undo. Here, right here, file. There, it's the one I want. Your computer. Okay. That's where we want. Open. On it goes. Send. All right, you may find a copy of the presentation in your chat window. So I would suggest you grab a hold of it, and then you'll have it to hold and whatever else you want to do with it. Any questions? Hold on, let's. I'm sure you could do more than one camera if you wanted to. Let's see. I can't, if I stop my video here. All right. Now let's do, I think it's going to, I need to switch it to the virtual so I can grab it with the other one. Okay. Nope. I'm going to have to, same problem exists with this if you try to launch OBS Studio while Zoom has the camera. There's probably a way to get it to work, but you have to basically have their Zoom video off, okay? And then you can go and select the OBS virtual camera and then turn it on. Now you can see both of those images at the same time. Of course, the one screen that you're seeing here is not the same screen I was using on Zoom earlier. I had my Nexigo zoomed in a little bit on that. And if I change, not sure if I do this. I think I could do this. Blur my, let's do the background. Virtual backgrounds. Oh, that's interesting. It does not like virtual backgrounds at all, and it knows where your head is. Not something you want to try unless you're doing the virtual background in OBS Studio. And you can do virtual backgrounds in OBS Studio, but I don't think you can do dynamic ones. So anyhow, that's the kind of thing. I'm going to stop my virtual camera again. I'm going to go ahead and select exit OBS Studio and then switch it back to the Nexigo. Good. And if I want to do this, I can do select this, zoomed in, load. All right, where's my zoom? Advanced. Yeah, I thought I was going to do this. Didn't. There. Back. I was hoping my Nexigo would save as its options the preset, but it does not include the preset for Zoom, unfortunately. Fun and games testing software that you've only gone through portions of. So, did I see any hands raised? Any questions? You all ready to do OBS Studio on your home machines?
I've been using it since I created the Linux SIG.
Okay, good.
That's
Do you run it on Linux or do you run it on Windows?
Both. I've been doing the machine recordings I do. That's OBS Studio.
Good. Do you ever use an NDI source?
Not offhand.
Okay. An NDI source is where I would have another laptop that might have a PowerPoint or projection or something on it, and I connect via Ethernet to it, and it comes into your OBS Studio as a video source. The freebie NDI driver that would run on Windows 10 and I think Windows 11, unfortunately, does not work too well with the latest OBS Studio. So if you're doing OBS Studio and you're trying to play NDI, you may have to stop at version 28 instead of 31 until you can get a new NDI server. And you run the NDI program on the target laptop that's connected with an Ethernet, and it starts broadcasting, and then the OBS server can see that. Oh, I see my device. There it is. Good. I like that laptop. And then you can select, in some cases, you can actually select which video source on that laptop you want to see. We've set it up to look at the laptop screen or the projector screen. So you can choose which one you want to see. You want to be able to see in the preview window, oh, is he going to be switching to the next slide soon? Okay, let's get ready, And now you can see what the person on the other side is doing. We haven't tried to control it remotely yet. That'll probably be in the future, but right now, that's how we have somebody usually running our presentation down in the sanctuary, and we have an Ethernet cable coming all the way up to where our Zoom and OBS server is. But that's some of the fun and games. And then there's always the thing, you fire it up, have everything ready to go, and then realize, they're not running the NDI software on the other machine. Run downstairs, click on it, run back upstairs. Well, walk slowly. We don't run too much. Use OBS, Bob?
No, I am using SplitCam
Split
to
cam.
I have a virtual webcam, and that's just to control my appearance in the meeting. It isn't for multiple images or anything.
Yeah,
I can switch between cameras, but that's more of a Zoom thing than it is of a SplitCam thing.
Yeah. The only thing I may need to do is I may need to look into some of these higher def cameras that have wide angle views instead. Because sometimes it's nice to have a wide angle view where you can see the entire table of the other people. I think when I had my trustees meeting this week, I had both cameras and OBS server running, and then behind me, I had my laptop extending its display into a 32-inch TV set so they could see the other Zoom people behind me. So I had a pretty close to being almost state of the art, 3 years ago.
By the way, now the OBS studio that I've been running, Jerry Sass, while he was still alive, he was had the first one that I know of with OBS, but he never got into it much on its features and how to control it and stuff like that. I had to use YouTube videos to figure that all out.
Mm-hmm. No, I've had to use parts of this, and then I haven't done too much trying to set it out myself. I knew what I needed to do approximately. So I need a device. I need a video source. Good. This camera will work. This camera will work. And like I said, I can use other sources as well, or fix pictures for backgrounds, add other things as well. So,
Well, the other thing that is a quirk, at least for me, and that I'm using my main machine right now, whether I'm an attendee or host on Zoom. Zoom has to run before OBS. Otherwise, OBS steals the camera, and Zoom says, "I can't find one."
well, that's why you need to make a virtual camera. Once you
Well,
make a virtual camera, and if you have Zoom set up to do the virtual camera, it just says, "Oh, I can't access it until OBS is running." So if you run it, then it becomes irrespective of whether OBS is started first or second. So I let OBS own the cameras, and then let Zoom see the result of what OBS is telling it to do.
yeah, I
That
just haven't
is
bothered
the
to get into that.
that is the same in SplitCam,
Yeah.
where you really want to get the SplitCam app going first, then get Zoom, and it can use the virtual source.
Right. I haven't tried to do multiple virtual sources or anything. I don't know if this OBS server allows multiple virtual cameras or not. Let you switch between those. I can switch the virtual camera operation in the middle of Zoom using the virtual camera. Tell it to use the different scene, and it will switch that way. So if I start and doing the side by side and I want to do top bottom, I can go into OBS and make the switch there. But it doesn't look at any of the OBS preview and program screens. It's only looking at the virtual driver. So, and I haven't figured out how to tell the virtual driver, oh, go grab the output from the program screen instead. Then it would take whatever I would click in and transition to, and then I'd be pretty much set for what I needed to do.
Yeah, I just did something where I switched the cameras that SplitCam was using because I have two scenes set up, one
Yeah.
for each camera.
Mhm.
And whichever one the virtual camera driver has picked up, that's what Zoom will pick up under SplitCam.
Right. And the version of OBS that I am using here is 31.1.2.
Mhm.
So that's pretty new. It's newer than the one that we've used at our church. What I haven't tried yet is to see whether or not I can take my laptop, go over to church, and then have it access our high-end Zoom cameras in the sanctuary. So we have some, I can't remember the brand name, but they have 30x zoom capability. And it's kind of nice, except the autofocus gets a little wonky every once in a while.
Mhm.
It says, I'm autofocused. No, you're not. You're fuzzy.
Yeah, now the other thing I had to do to make SplitCam really work was I had to download and install a driver for the virtual webcam.
Oh, so it didn't come with a virtual webcam. You had to download one.
No, there's a free one you can download.
Oh, there was a free one. Okay. This one, the virtual cam that got set up by OBS Studio came again out of the install of OBS Studio and just clicking on the right things. And then the reboot installed it. And it's now there permanently as a video source, whether or not OBS is running. And when I've launched Zoom and I have it set to the OBS virtual camera, it comes up with that display, that circle with the whatever they are, fingers.
Yeah.
It, yeah, it probably means something to somebody, but it's lost on me because it doesn't hit anything familiar. I guess it's the logo that OBS Studio uses, is what it is.
I think so.
Yeah. I should ask the help, like, what is the OBS Studio logo mean?
It's just their own little cryptic logo.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. It's their own design, yes. But so you use SplitCam and you're happy with that.
Yeah,
And
SplitCam will not allow you to use multiple images at the same time the way OBS Studio will.
okay.
So it's not as feature rich.
I
At least
have
I haven't figured out how to do that with SplitCam.
I hesitate to figure out exactly how much memory I was using when I had both of these running, but I think I was using up probably close to 11 gig of main memory while these were both running.
Mhm.
Wouldn't be too much of a stretch of the imagination because I think my original machine had 8 gigs and I was having problems, so I had a 4 laying around, so I made it
Yeah.
12. That improved things, but ran into too many problems. Went to 16, and then I still had problems later on, and I finally had to get an old 2 gigabyte GPU card, AMD, toss it
Mhm.
in, make sure that it was set to use it, and that made a big difference because it offloaded the graphics having to be done by code through the CPU.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this one's using Radeon 680 as part of its part of the laptop. But my other one is using the 8-core Radeon in the mini PC. I think that this one probably has the edge in terms of graphics performance. So, but yeah, your mileage may vary. The important thing is the machine runs cool. It's not sitting here cooking itself. And that's what you usually find out when you are running graphics intensive applications, especially if they're going to re-vocode some of the information to make it fit on the screen. I know that my graphics adapter is doing a little extra duty to reformat my 1920 by 1280 into the 1920 by 1020 for the larger screen that I'm using. but doesn't seem to be affecting the any lag or delay in Zoom. So I'm just counting my blessings in that respect. Okay. Any other subjects that people would like to see, perhaps, or I can add to my list? I don't know what comes up on some of the other things on the senior SIG and some of the other ones, but I thought, well, this would cover a fair amount of questions that some people might have had. And if they haven't tried OBS Studio, it's something they can experiment with. Although I probably will continue to log other anomalies that I find in Windows 11 as I stumble across them.
Yeah,
I did,
as far as the opening information you provided with 11, yeah, they're doing their damnedest to get rid of a control panel. They keep moving around some of the features that are in settings that replace it. But every once in a while, I want to do something with the user account, okay? And I can't do what I want to do in the regular settings of accounts. I have to use control panel user control to
yes,
do it. And that's a headache.
absolutely.
That's a headache. But eventually they may take some of those features that are still in the control panel and eventually marry them into the settings of 11.
Does your normal users that you set up with Windows 11, are they normally non-admin users and then they can get to admin if they need to, or do you leave it as admin?
Oh no, I always set up a local administrator, period.
Okay.
Then I set up user accounts. Occasionally, I have some that are a local standard account, but otherwise they're a local attached to Microsoft accounts. And it doesn't matter too much, but sometimes this is like disk partition manipulations. I do some manipulations with my various accounts, and as a result, you don't have the same control capabilities that's in control panel.
Yeah, but
And there's a few
I've
other areas too.
but if you run into issues like it's with some apps that do not play well with others.
No, I haven't had that yet. Uh,
QuickBooks is one of the ones that I have had issues with, particularly on Windows 10 with non-administrative users.
are you local or are you in the cloud?
This is not a cloud. This is the local QuickBooks 2024 desktop
Okay.
enterprise.
Yeah, there's some.
And if you try and do an update of the program code, you can download the update with
Standard.
with the non-privileged user, but you can't apply it successfully because it runs into problems.
Right.
And then even if you do run the install as admin, before it gets to the final remove pieces, you have to go in and disable some of the antivirus checking. You have to go and disable some of the real-time protection in order to complete. Otherwise, it never finishes.
Well, I do a lot of installing software from the standard account, but I always make sure that I run it as admin. It gets by almost everything. But there are a few gotchas that I've got in programs where, whether I like it or not, it doesn't recognize the admin run in the standard account in the same fashion, and you have to then log out of that and log into the local administrator account and do it all from there.
Because I've had another account on a Windows 11 machine that has had no problems applying the updates, but it's always running as admin. So that's the danger. You run it as admin, it can run these things, put in the updates that you need to put in, because when QuickBooks wants to do an update and you haven't done an update, you better plan on getting that update installed because it will stop operating for you. And that's kind of a nuisance when you're sitting there and you want to get something done,
Hey,
not happy.
you want to get into nuisance, starting with 24H2. You cannot do a in-place install to correct major problems in the operating system from a
Hmm.
flash drive, and you cannot do it from an ISO image. What they did was when you go into settings, system, uh, recovery, they have a new option in there, and they do it a different way, but they get an in-place accomplished through an item in the system uh, recovery section.
Does it actually pull it from the internet then to fix it?
I only have had try it once, and I can't be certain whether it came from the cloud or it's using some kind of an image out on the drive that you may or may not see. I just
Well, I
can't tell
just
you.
wondered that one image that's in my recovery partition, it just
Yes,
seemed a little on the large side compared to some of the Windows 10 recovery partitions.
yes.
At 1.95 gigabytes, it's like 3 or 4 times the size of the Windows 10 recovery
Oh
partitions. And
yeah.
I wonder, are they hiding something there? Because this one came out of the box
I
24H2.
I can't remember if that system had a recovery drive, because the recovery partition has, for the most part, become obsolete, and the reason for that is people don't know how, and that they must be able to go in and periodically replace that with newer versions. If they don't do that, they'll take
Uh-huh.
them all the way back to whatever recovery image was in that recovery partition, which, hey, if the machine's 5 years or more older, it's a little bit out of date. In fact, if you span two versions, like say the machine was a Windows 10 system with a Windows 10 recovery partition image, and you upgraded successfully to 11 supported, you can be taken all the way back to Windows 10.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm serious. And it's a big problem that I discovered about somewhere in 23 or 24, that there are ways of updating the image that's in the recovery. But every time you get a new version of Windows and you're pretty certain it's stabilized and it's working fine, you then need to take and update the recovery partition to that version.
Yeah.
And if
Well, how big should the system protection area be? What's the recommended that they want now?
Uh, that varies a little bit as to what they stuck in there. Okay. It used to be on 10, I think about 800, 850 megabytes. But
I
now,
This one came out of the box at 5 gig.
well, that wouldn't be that big of a stretch of the imagination.
Okay.
And with all the new features in AI and other enhancements that
Yeah.
they are
Okay.
putting in, this thing is mushrooming beyond concept for
Well, you better
anybody
have a
that's
lot of space or plan to have your smallest drive as a 4 terabyte SSD.
right.
But that's going to take an awful long time to back up.
Well, usually what you might, and I temper this a little bit, is only occasionally do a backup with that partition being copied in, and other backups without it. because that way you save space and time by eliminating all of your images containing that recovery partition.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's going to be time that I should start looking into that Seagate Exos 36 terabyte drive.
Yeah, well, it's just a case where there's a lot of gotchas. They are getting more and more of the features over there. But I want to mention for you another thing that you brought up about having a problem in 11 with your mouse or touchpad control and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I ain't going to guarantee it. Go to the Microsoft Store. Besides Power Toys being in there, you also have WinToys.
Hmm.
WinToys consolidates umpteen different things that are scattered all over Windows that most people don't know exist, and or they can't remember where all the various tools are located at naturally. And this brings it all together, just like PC Manager in the Microsoft Store brings a lot of cleanup stuff
Uh-huh.
into one application. So PC Manager and WinToys complement each other in giving you a single access point for dozens of tools that Microsoft has been providing for decades in one location. You don't have to know, I got to go here for that one, I got to go
Uh-huh.
here for that one, etc.,
So
etc.
is the Win Toys a superset of Power Toys, or do
No,
you
no,
have to use
no. They're separate items. They're
separate
all
items?
made
Okay.
by Microsoft employees on GitHub, but they're
Okay.
available through the Microsoft Store.
Okay.
And they're one is for cleanup, tune-up, management kind of software. That's the WinToys, and
Uh-huh.
Power Toys are features, some of which many people think should be moved from Power Toys straight into Windows.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know that there's some of the ones, the image resizer and those kinds of things. Oh, now that would be something right
Well,
there.
they're almost to the point of, I think the current version of Power Toys is 0.95. And
Okay.
so that means,
That's almost a release then.
well, they may get release one sometime in 26, I would speculate. It only took them, I don't know how many years to get to release one with Power Toys, but it's been a slow motion ride.
Well, the Nimbus Exadrive DC is 100 terabyte SSD.
Woo!
It goes for 40 grand, approximately $400 per terabyte. The 50 terabyte model is only 12,500, which is $250 per terabyte.
Well, you can buy a couple of those for me.
Yeah, uh-huh. And I'm going to install them here for my
No, no,
backups.
no,
I don't
no,
know
no.
if I would trust SSDs for backups though, because SSDs have a finite life.
Right.
And I still have some of these machines with, I have a Win 7 machine that's from 2009 and it's still working fine on that old hard drive.
Right. Yes. And I've got a lot of very old hard
That's a
drives that are still
Hitachi.
working.
Hitachi doesn't even make them anymore. They've
Right.
sold out to Western Digital.
Right.
Yes.
It's just even on my storage for backup and long term, I prefer spinning hard drive, even though it's much slower, unless you
Uh-huh.
happen to get the 7200 RPM, and or you get your own housing and get your hands on 10,000 to 15,000 RPM spinning hard drives.
Yeah. Yeah. But they need power and they need to be shut down normally instead of just click crash.
Right.
So
Right.
you got to have a normal enough power supply there to hold it while it shuts down.
Yeah, but
Otherwise, the the recovery will probably take days to go through
yeah,
before
but
you finish and said you may now log in.
yeah, but those are 3.5 inch drives and that. But You can also, in any system, use the laptop 2.5 inch spinning hard drives.
Yeah.
At least go to 7,200. I can't remember if they made a 10,000 RPM or not.
I don't know if this laptop would support a hard drive. I don't think so. I think
No,
it's only
no,
got room for an M.2.
no. You gotta only go through USB.
Yeah. Because most of the drives, I mean, I have right now plugged into this, or I had plugged in. This is a 1 terabyte SSD that can plug in, and it's got a USB-C on the end of it. So if you had a USB-C to USB-C, it would use that, or a USB to USB-C with a 3.2, and it'll run at full speed.
Well, I got tons of 2.5s. I use both an external adaptive SATA to USB connector because most of the time it's a very temporary thing. I have other ones that I put in USB housings. Then I have the M.2s. This here is a cheapie. I've got one other cheapie that's better than this one that are SATA only, and I only have the two. I have two of these, and this one here is interesting. It's a hybrid. It's handles SATA drive or NVMe, both.
Okay.
Of course, only one at a time. But
Yeah.
I've got two of these, and I use either one in here and based upon my particular needs. And then I have three, two like this and one other one that's more premium grade that is NVMe only. So there's three versions of M.2s. Most won't need the SATA, but I do have some laptops in a sense similar to what your 11 is
Yeah.
nowadays with
I think I
M.2.
have an old Sabrent USB 3 dual drive dock for SATA.
Well, I have
Yeah.
one, two, I got about five old laptops. They use SATA drives in them, 2260s, and for some reason I can't tell you why, because I've never found out why. You can get 2230 format, 2242 format. You in SATA you could get 2260s, and then 2280s, and more recently there's the 22110 size drives, but it's virtually non-existent that I've been able to find 2260s in NVMe's.
Oh,
Only SATAs, and they didn't seem to last long. Apparently, most people didn't give a hoot and holler about them. Most devices use the 30, 42, 80, or the 110.
how big did you want those?
2260.
2260. Oh, there's one right there.
What?
That's only 256 gig though.
Yes, and also it's both the capacity is smaller, and 2260 is only SATA. I haven't seen NVMe.
Yeah, it's only a SATA right here.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Now, another thing that you have to know about quite seriously, and I only stumbled across this in the last
Uh-huh.
couple months. There are NVMe's instead of being Gen 3 by 4 or Gen 4 by 4, Gen 5 by 4. The 4 means 4-channel access. But there are NVMe's out there that are Gen 3 by 2 and Gen 4 by 2. I hope they didn't make any 5 by 2s. Then you have some machines in minis that will restrict you to a 2-channel on the drive, and
Uh-huh.
or even I've seen one that will give you only 1-channel access, and
Ew.
that's so slow that there are SATA drives that will run better than a single channel NVMe.
Huh. I did not stumble across. I have
Oh,
not
I
looked
have.
into those that much.
It
Yes.
depends on how what you look at and what you're looking for. But I also look at some reviews and other things, whether I'm buying or not, just to see
Uh-huh.
what the heck's going on with modern hardware. But I
Yeah.
got really surprised when I found out there can be drives that you buy, because I've been looking recently for getting a few NVMe drives, and almost by accident was going to look seriously at a two channel. Then I realized what was it was talking about. And I said, no wonder the price is so low. It's only a two channel instead of four channel. And then
And you wanted a 4 channel, of course.
I only want four channel, period. And so you got to watch that little gotcha. And then some machines may restrict you internally, and you can't adjust it uh, to two channel only access, or even on some of the cheapest ones, a single channel. That's why you got to really watch it. Especially, I've been noticing reviews because I've been into YouTube a lot lately. Um, and they do a review for some great machine on AliExpress. Well,
Uh-huh.
when you really start looking at the details, the reason why it's between $135 and $170 is because they may be using two channel or even one channel on the drive.
Okay, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Doesn't tell me anything about its format.
A lot of them do not, and that's the problem. It
How do you determine it? Do you have to look up on the Samsung
you
website
either
or
have to
something?
actually look it up through a search, or in some ads, like say on Amazon or eBay, etc. It will the seller knows
Uh-huh.
what it is and will tell you in the descript, either PCIe uh, say 3x4 or 3x2, 4x4, 4x2, etc. But
Uh-huh.
most of the sellers have no idea what the heck they're selling, just like Walmart and Best Buy people.
Yeah.
All they're there to do is to facilitate a sale and give you as much information as they happen to know, and that's next to nothing.
Yeah.
Or it's all bad information, one of the two.
Yeah. NVMe M.2, but that's their own brands. I can't tell from this. It's got to be a private label one that they
Yeah,
have
you get
here.
those two. It's and I usually steer clear of the Chinese branded ones, and that because there you have no clue what you're getting. Not really. I mean, you can gamble with it with buying one and seeing how well it works as a test bed, not as production.
Yeah. Right. All right. Let's cut out that and see what that does.
But that's a real surprise I only learned about in the last two, no more than 3 months, about this storage channel access. And I don't
Okay,
think,
so this one that's in my current laptop is a PCIe Gen 4.0 X4.
right. And
Yep.
so you got a 4x4,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and that beats a 2x4,
Yes, it does.
especially in certain construction, like a banister post.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, whether or not it has the same wear factors as some of the prior ones, I don't know. It says it's a seventh generation 176 layer TLC VNAND.
Well, CL, and there's a dual and a tri. They give you full performance. There was a fourth layer one, and I can't remember the acronym that it was used with it. It works, but it's slow compared to a regular drive. And the reason for that is that fourth layer puts an overhead on it, and so you're slowed down. I think it's a QVO. Samsung
Yeah, I
made it.
seem to remember seeing something
Yeah,
there. But is this because the write speed is so slow?
yeah, yeah.
But it's doing the write speed slow, so it's more reliable so that when you have a problem, you can recover it.
Right. It's just a case where a lot of people steered clear of QVO, which
Mhm.
would probably be just fine as a storage backup unit
Mhm.
type drive, but it might have better features for that than a plain SSD.
So with your M.2 interface dongle, does that support a 4x4 or does that only support two channels?
I got no, I got 4 channel capabilities through 3x4 and 4x4. Because
So, but if you plug in one that's smaller, it'll still interface to it.
yeah,
So if you have a 2x2, it would talk to it.
it should. I haven't got any 2x2s that I know
Okay.
of. I don't
Yeah.
want them because you're talking probably speeds that are just a hair faster than a SATA drive
Okay.
internally.
Yeah. All
Uh,
right.
so you're talking there with a 2 channel
Mm-hmm.
at I would say 6, maybe a hair over 6 transfer speed, whereas a 4x4, even on a 3x4, will get you at least 7 capability or better.
Okay. All right. I will look into that too.
And if you get into the 1 channel,
No, I don't think so.
I'd be just curious to know what its real performance speed is.
Yeah.
Because my speculation would be somewhere around 3 and maybe 400 megabytes per second.
Well, it depends on if, like I said, if you're interfacing through USB 3.2, you may run into the limitation of the USB 3.2 first before you hit, unless you had it came with a USB-C interface, which is good for 5 or 10, depending on how fast it's set up to operate. But
Right. Well,
like
I
I said, I
mean,
haven't looked at these things to see what's
most
available.
most of these M.2 adapters, external adapters, they come with both A and C, and
Mhm.
you just use the one that you want to use the most.
Right.
Whether because right now there are a lot of machines, laptop and desktops that have 3.2 Gen 2, which
Hmm.
gives you at least 10 performance, and it's a type A usually. But
Yeah.
if it has a C also on it, it's using the same thing.
Yeah.
And then you have USB 4, which is the newest stuff, and that's at least the equivalent of 3.2 Gen 2, but I think it's supposed to be up to 20, not
I
not
think this one only has a 5 gig on the USB-C. On the, I think it's an extra USB-C. One's a USB-C with power. The other one is a USB-C just for data. And I know one of the two is only spec to 5 gig, but I don't expect to ever use these to any great extent. Especially with your main in and out just being Ethernet, something with 1,000 base, Ethernet, you're going to be restricted there to, several hundred megabytes per second. So,
Yeah, but I mean, these are some of the things that I come across just doing my normal research, not only for my own stuff, but the stuff
Uh-huh.
I put in more FYIs, I put into my meetings and Sanford's TNT SIG meeting.
Yeah.
And this kind of stuff in it is mostly unknown by a hell of a lot of people.
When it
And
comes to hardware, there's very few Windows users who really have any head for it
that's right.
and
Yeah.
who
But I mean,
even
that's because it's
can wrap their
constantly
heads around the
changing.
details.
It's
Yeah.
constantly changing, and not all the manufacturers give you all the details of what the hell's going on in the machine.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Samsung never did declare the substitutions they made in the controllers.
Right.
For example, we had to find that out
The hard
through
way.
Tom's Hardware and places like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And
But
that's
at least
where
we
you
have those.
that's
At
where
least
you
we have
still
those sources.
that's where you still have the resource about some of these quirky things that I've
Yeah.
recently come across, because information for me since about June has been exploding. I've got material out the wazoo, and I'm not joking when I say that.
Yeah.
And it just keeps pouring in. I don't know if there's some kind of a cause that's creating it, or what the heck's going on, but
There's stuff. It's out there.
yeah,
There's
Okay.
some pretty big changes going on right now in both Windows and Linux.
yes.
Well, if any of you decide that you have some subject that you may want to discuss and you want to share it with me, you have my email address. Go ahead and send me a copy, and I'll take a look at it and see whether I can put a presentation together on it. And we've reached our bewitching hour, so I think I'm going to start to wrap it up here. I'll let Tim go ahead and finish his recording.